Shalom, shalom. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. I'm your host, Unveiled Levi, bringing you another insightful discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about the number of his name. Today, we're going to talk about a very heavy and insightful topic. It's going to be called the number of his name. All right. The number of his name is our topic for today. If you are new to the Forefront Radio, feel free to follow. The Forefront Radio is a diaspora biblical-based podcast dedicated to teaching the Bible from a Black history perspective. A lot of times when we talk about various things impacting our communities, it's very important for us to be mindful of the importance of loving one another, walking upright, and keeping the commandments of the Creator. So now I have my microphone connected, y'all. So if y'all are able to hear, please place a 1 in the chat, just so I know for a certainty that everyone can hear properly with no issues. If you're able to hear the information being presented right now, please let's get a couple of 1s in the chat, and then we'll get started with our discussion shortly. All right, the Levite 7 placed a 1. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get started with this discussion. The discussion today is the number of his name. All right, we're going to start off first with Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 27. We're going to start at verse 1. Sirach, chapter 27, verse 1. It says, "Many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeks for abundance will turn his eyes away. As a nail sticks fast between the joints of stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling." Buying and selling. So in this discussion today, we're going to talk about the impact of economics on the diaspora concerning buying and selling in this topic known as the number of his name. From there, let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13. For those of you that are moderators, please place the scriptures in the chat. Make sure you have a Bible, a pen, an apocrypha, paper, so you could jot down these things also for your notes. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, and we're going to read verse 16 and 17. This is concerning the second beast of Revelation, chapter 13, which is going into the United States of America. What does the United States have control over as far as the global system of this society? Let's find out. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. "And he," referring to the United States of America, "causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads," meaning in their thoughts, how they conduct themselves, as well as in their actions. Your forehead is your frontal lobe, which is your brain, your mind. Your mind is centered on the ways of America, and your right hand goes into your actions. Now, how does this impact us economically? Verse 17, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Number of his name. Now, that's a key point to focus on. Now, some people will speculate and say, the number of his name is just what it says right there, right? Verse 18, "Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man." Wait a minute. So the beast is actually a kingdom of man. The beast is actually a kingdom of man. It's not a literal beast, y'all. It's a symbolic message telling us that it is a kingdom of man on the earth that has control over the economics of humanity. Now think about this. It says that no man might buy nor sell. Does the United States have the capability to block, to sanction, to create tariffs and taxes to all nations on the earth, including their citizens? The answer is yes. If you want to trade between the United States of America, you have to go through their system. You have to go through their system. Somebody put the question mark of Rome. That was the first beast of Revelation 13. The kingdom of the Edomites have sway over the entire planet. Their first kingdom was Greece and then Rome, which was amalgamated to the Greco-Roman Empire. The second one was Europe transitioning into America. Right now in 2025, the United States has political, military, and economic influence over the entire planet. If everybody understands that, let's place a 1 in the chat. If you understand that, place a 1 in the chat. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Let's go back. We're at Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 27, verse 2. It says, as a nail sticks fast between the joinings of the stones, so does sin stick close between buying and selling. So if you look at the economics of society, there are many things that cause people to break God's commandments through the act of buying and selling. Think about it for a moment. When we celebrate some of these holidays, aka holy days, are attributed to false pagan gods. For example, Janus is where we get the modern month of January. Janus is a false god with 2 heads, which created the New Year's resolution that people celebrate today. One face going forward to the future, one face looking back in the past. So people will say, well, that represents the resolution in the sense of you're looking at the mistakes of your past and you're looking to the future as to what you want to fix. But guess what? While it may seem on the onset that this celebration of New Year's is wonderful, and in reality, we're breaking the very first commandment that says, do not worship other gods. Do not follow the ways of other gods. Don't bow down to them. Don't serve them. So every January 1st, instead of giving honor to the God of creation, we're giving honor to Janus, the god of the Romans. So every aspect of our society has been Romanized, especially in the United States of America. Shalom to you. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's continue. So notice, the Bible is saying that sin sticks very close to buying and selling. Buying and selling. Watch this. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 15. Let's go to Luke, chapter 12, verse 15. Moderators, please place the scriptures in the chat. We're going to go to Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Luke chapter 12, verse 15, it says, and he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness. Take heed. Shalom to you, Sister Yolanda. I hope you're doing well. It says, take heed and beware of covetousness. For a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. So one of the things that the Messiah warned about was in regards to buying and selling. He said, be aware of greed of riches and wealth. You understand? From there, let's go to Sirach chapter 10, verse 9. Let's go to Sirach chapter 10, verse 9. Sirach chapter 10, verse 9. It says, Sirach chapter 10, verse 9. It says, why is earth and ashes proud. There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, for such an one sets his own soul for sale. Meaning people that are greedy for money and riches and wealth. Shalom to you, Riptide. Hope you're doing well. They're going to sell their souls. You see, a lot of people come to America just so they can get a slice of the American pie, right? They will sell their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, just for a little bit of money, y'all. Think of all the celebrities who've had their relatives go through a couple of things that are egregious, and all of a sudden they get $1 million, $1 billion contracts, right? It says in Sirach chapter 10, verse 9, why is earth and ashes proud? Meaning, why is man full of hubris? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, meaning somebody greedy for riches and wealth. It says, for such an one sets his own soul for sale, because while he lives, he casteth away his bowels. From there, let's go back to Sirach chapter 27. Sirach 27, verse 2. It says, verse 1, many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeks for abundance will turn his eyes away. Meaning what? You have politicians that take money, they take bribes, they take resources from others just to afflict the poor and the widow, just to afflict the orphan and fatherless. That's what many people do in society. The judges, the politicians, many of them take money from sources that influence the politics, the economics, the military of a nation. They influence the nations to do various things based on their greed and covetousness. You see, the God of this Bible despises briberies. He despises those that seek to give gifts to sway judgment towards a different path. He doesn't like it at all. At all. Let's go to Sirach chapter 40, verse 12. It says, all bribery and injustice shall be blotted out, but true dealing shall endure forever. You understand? So those that stick close to buying and selling and stick close to lawless behavior, they're going to use their economic systems to control people through covetousness. So now that we have a basic introduction onto this topic of buying and selling and the number of a man, let's get into something very interesting. The United States have something established called the Social Security number. If you've heard of the Social Security number, please place a 1 in the chat. If you've heard of the Social Security number, please place a 1 in the chat. All right, we have a 1, we have a 1. All right, thank you, James. Thank you, Nazarite. Thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Riptide. All right, so now let's touch on this Social Security number. Keyword, number. It says, this is from Wikipedia. This is for educational purposes only. It says, in the United States, a Social Security number is a 9-digit number issued to the United States citizens, permanent residents, and temporary working residents under the Sections 205(c)(2) of the Social Security Act. It was codified as 42 U.S.C. 405(c)(2). The number is issued to an individual by the Social Security Administration, an independent agency of the United States government, an independent agency of the United States government. Although the original purpose for the number was for Social Security administrations to track individuals, the Social Security number has become a de facto national identification number. National Identification Number for taxation and other purposes. Now, quick facts about the Social Security number. It was issued by the Railroad Retirement Board in 1943. The acronym is SSN or SSN. SS, think of how the acronym sounds. SSN, SSN, SIN. The Social Security Administration now is the organization in charge. It started in 1936. 1936. 9 backwards, that's a 6. 3 times 3, that's a 6. And the number 6. It was introduced in the year 1936. 936. These are all multiples of 6. Y'all see how strange that is, right? Y'all see how odd that is, right? Let's continue. I'm not saying anything. It says a Social Security number may be obtained by applying a Form SS5 application for a Social Security number. The history. Social Security numbers were first issued by the Social Security Administration in November. Novem means 9. Noventum, 90. Novem means 9, the 9th month. 9 is another derivative. 9 upside down is a 6. Just something to think about. November 1936, as part of the New Deal Social Security program. Within 3 months, 25 million numbers were issued. On November 24th, 1936, 1,074 of the nation's 45,000 post offices were designated as typing centers to type up Social Security cards that were then sent to the United States capital of Washington, D.C. On December the 1st, 1936, as part of the publicity campaign for the new program, Joseph L. Fay of the Social Security Administration selected a record from the top of the first stack of the 1,000 records and announced that the first Social Security number in history was assigned to John David Sweeney, Jr. of New Rochelle, New York. However, since the Social Security numbers were not assigned in chronological order, Sweeney did not receive the lowest Social Security number of 001010001. That distinguished accomplishment belongs to Grace D. Owen of Concord, New Hampshire. Before 1986, now listen close, before 1986, people often did not obtain a Social Security number until the age of 14, since the numbers were used for income tracking purposes, and those under that age seldom had substantial income. The Tax Reform Act of 1986 required parents to list Social Security numbers for each dependent over the age of 5 for whom the parent wanted to claim for a tax deduction. Before this act, parents' claim deductions were simply trusted not to lie about the number of children they supported. During the first year of the Tax Reform Act, this anti-fraud change resulted in 7 million fewer minor dependents being claimed. The disappearance of these dependents is believed to have involved either children who never existed or tax deductions improperly claimed by non-custodial parents. In 1988, the threshold was lowered to 2 years old. Thank you for contributing to the live goal. I appreciate you. Joy, thank you. And in 1990, the threshold was lowered yet again to 1 year old. Now watch this. Today, meaning 2025, a social security number, or acronym SSN or SIN, is required regardless of the child's age to receive an exemption. So, everybody in the United States, in order to be able to have the access to be able to buy or sell, is required to have a social security number, SSN. Let's read on. Since then, parents have often applied for social security numbers for their children soon after birth. Today, it can be done on the application for a birth certificate. So think about that for a moment. Your child cannot buy nor sell unless they have both a birth certificate and a number to their name. A number to their name. Remember, the Bible says, let's go back to it. Let's go to Sirach chapter 27, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 27, verse 2. It says, as a nail sticks fast between the joints of the stones, so doth sin, SSN or SIN, sticks close to buying and selling. Wait a minute. So if you can't get born in the United States without a SSN card, a social security number, that means you're exempt from certain things that people get access to in America. Now, write it in the chat, folks. What are the things that most people ask for when they want your social security number? Write it in the chat. Let's see if we have some of our critical thinking hats on. Let's see if we have some of our critical thinking hats on. What are some of the things that you need? Correct. Birth, identification, correct. What else? Bank, correct. That's especially correct. SNS, okay. Social. So now I want you to think about it. Think how heavy this goes. When you apply for a job, what is the first thing they ask you for? Do they not ask you for your social security number? And this number is attached to the ability of if you can buy or sell in regards to employment. If you are a patient at a hospital, do they not ask you to fill out a form, enter your date of birth and your social security number? So wait a minute. So you can't receive insurance and services to assist to pay for medical expenses if you don't have a number to your name. What about if you're a student and you go to school and you apply for federal loans and grants? What do they require on your application? Is it not a social security number? What about if you were applying for a credit card? You want $500, you want $1,000, you want $20,000, you want $100,000. What is the first thing that's required? Your name, your date of birth, and your social security number. Now, employee, patient, student, and credit records are sometimes indexed by social security number. Passports too ask for social security number, correct. If you go to a car dealership and you want a loan to purchase a car, do they ask you for your social security number? Interesting. If you need to go and get an apartment or a house, you want to get a mortgage or you want to apply for a apartment, they say, correct, even a baby needs that number. They say, can I have your social security number? So that means there's a restriction being placed on an entire population of humanity who cannot have access to financial needs unless there's a number of his name. Y'all see that the Bible is a true book, y'all? If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Now, I'm not saying the Social Security number is the mark of the beast. Don't be simple. But what I am saying is the United States has the mechanism in place to already control buying and selling, just like the Bible says in Revelation 13. Just like we read today in Revelation 13. This was something that Rome did not have access to. And especially with the onset of technology, AI technology, robotics, computer programs, it's a lot easier now to say, hey, when we enter this social security number, we know that your demographic and your ID is this. Why all black people got bad social security credit? I wonder. Oh, your credit score is this. You miss one payment, all of a sudden it drop all the way down from like 700 down to 5 something. All across the board, majority of black and brown people got bad credit. But they track it from your social security number. So now, the United States is not the only country. The United States was the first country in the modern era to require a number attached to your name and establish it as a national identification number. There are other countries that have done the same, and we're going to go to a short discussion on this national identification number. If you're enjoying the live here on the Forefront Radio, please feel free to follow, subscribe, make sure you share the room with at least 10 people. Let's tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. If y'all could do me that favor, it would be wonderfully appreciated. This is for educational purposes only. National identification number, according to Wikipedia, it says a number to represent one's identity as a numerical code. So wait a minute. In modern society, y'all, we're all just a number. We're all just a number. Let's read on. It says a national identification number or national identity number or national insurance number or JMBG or EMBG is used by the governments of many countries as a means of tracking their citizens, permanent residents, and temporary residents for the purposes of work, that's going into buying and selling, taxation, that's going into buying and selling, government benefits, that's going into buying and selling, health care, that's going into buying and selling, and other governmentally related functions. So that means the government has complete persuasion over buying and selling. Does this fit what the Bible is saying, y'all? Does this fit what the Bible is telling us? Where the United States first started the implementation of these things and other nations started to follow suit. Let's read on. It says the ways in which such a system is implemented vary among countries, but in most cases, citizens are issued an identification number upon reaching legal age or when they are born. Non-citizens may be issued such numbers when they enter the country, or when they are granted a temporary or permanent resident permit. Many countries issued such numbers for a singular purpose, but over time, they became the de facto national identification number. For example, the United States developed its Social Security number SSN system as a means of organizing, dispersing the Social Security benefits. However, due to function creep, meaning what? They gave something for one purpose and deceived the masses in order to create it into another purpose. That's what function creep means. Function creep is when somebody says, this right here is for this service only. It's called bait and switch. And then they switch it and say, well, really, we're just going to use it to identify everybody. You see, back in 1936, the citizens would not openly agree to a national identification number to keep track of them. They would riot, they would protest, they would be adamant against it. But now in 2025, we find it to be just normal. You see, we didn't realize that we were deceived in order to accept a number to our name. Let's read on. It says, however, due to function creep, the number has become used for other purposes to the point where it is almost essential to have one too. Among other things, open a bank account, obtain a credit card, or drive a car. So in America, you can't obtain a vehicle. You can't obtain a vehicle and purchase a vehicle unless you have a Social Security number. You can't get a bank account unless you have a Social Security number. You can't obtain a credit card unless you have a Social Security number. Y'all, this sounds like what the Bible is talking about when it says no man can buy or sell unless you have a number to your name. Unless you have, y'all, it is what it is, y'all. This is for educational purposes only. It is what it is. Now it's time for us to realize that the Bible is a true book, y'all. The Bible is a true book. Let's continue. It says, although some countries are required to collect taxpayer identification number, that's another one called TIN, information from overseas payments procedures, some countries like the United States are not required to collect other nations' TIN if other requirements are met, such as a date of birth. Correct. This is for educational purposes only. Authorities use databases and they need a unique identifier so that data actually refer to the searched person. In countries where there is no established national number, authorities need to create their own number for each person, though there is a risk of mismatching people. So now, here is a list of all the countries that have a national identification number. Starting with the continent of Africa, we have Nigeria, okay, which has an 11-digit number. We have Somalia that started in 2023. With a national identification and registration authority number. You have South Africa. South Africa listed you to identify if you were European, they would give you a 00. If you were a black person, they would give you a 01. That means whenever somebody gave you the card, they say, oh, this one, we can give them special privileges because they're 00. This one over here, the melanated people, they're 01. So we could try to manipulate and make sure that they don't get the special privileges. That's how they control things, y'all. You understand? So another one is the country known as Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has a national identification number. In the Americas, you have Argentina. You also have Mexico. You also have Brazil. You also have Canada, which has a SIN number. And here's the crazy thing about it. Theirs is called the Social Insurance Number, right? And the acronym is SIN. SIN. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Imagine somebody walking up to God and say they got a SIN card. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. God does not give us license to sin, but apparently the governments of the world, in their sarcasm and vitriol towards the Creator, they will create a card system, a number system, identify it to the people, and name it sin? You can't make this stuff up, y'all. Chile also has a national identification number. You have Colombia that has a national identification number. You have Mexico. We stated that already. You also have the United States. So Canada made a SIN card, and ours is just SSN, which means sin too. Sin, which is a 9-digit number. Now, I tell you something that I found out. When I tried to calculate my social security number, I added one number, subtracted another number, and once I realized the math, I realized that it was 666 across the board. If you're smart enough, you can go to your social security number, start fiddling with numbers and calculations, and you'll find that it'll all be 666 across the board. I'm not making this up, y'all. I did it with my social security number. I did it with my mom's social security number. I did it with my dad's social security. I was like, yo, how when I add this number and this number, it equals 6? How when I subtract this number and this number, it equals 6? How when I add a 1 to this number, it equals 6? How when I just subtract this by 3 or add this by 3, it equals 6? Y'all, you can't make this stuff up, y'all. You can't make this stuff up. I tried it with myself. I tried it with my dad's number and then my mom's number. And I was like, yo, when we say Esau is the devil, when we say Esau is we're not making it up, y'all. All right, let's drop the Wikipedia. Now let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the Bible. Does the Bible talk about the number of his name? Let's go to Revelation chapter 13 once again. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13 and let's start at verse 15. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 15. Please place it in the chat. I know the information is amazing, but, don't worry, don't stress. This just proves that the Bible is a true book. When God says, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her sins and don't receive her plagues, he wasn't making it up. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That's the Eurocentric image that people worship today in their churches. They gave the image of America, the image of Rome, which is the religious figure of Jesus Christ, changed him from being a black man to a European person. That the image of the beast should both speak. How does this image speak? Through movies, through documentaries, through false prophets that teach about Jesus Christ, not from his historical perspective as a black man, but from the Eurocentric perspective as a European person. Let's continue. It says, and would cause that any that would not worship the image of the beast should be unalive. Meaning what? Rome gave a particular picture of the Son of God. The explorers invaded places all over the world. They settled and colonized in various places, and they forced the indigenous people to accept Christianity through the Gentile perspective. And if they did not worship the image of Caesar Borgia that they depicted as the Son of God, many would be deleted. So did this prophecy come true? Yes, it did. In order for them to establish America, They came with both military and missionaries. Both Catholic priests, Baptist priests, Lutherans, pilgrims, brethren, Congregationalists, Presbyterians, Anglicans, they all had to come to the United States to establish their society with both military and missionary. They did the same thing in the Caribbean islands, in South America, Canada, South Africa, Australia, and the continent of Africa itself, Europe. That's how they have power over the nations, y'all. Let's read on. It says, and he causes all. Now, when the Bible says all, that means every person born, both small and great, small countries, great countries, rich and poor. That's going into rich countries or rich people and poor people. Free and bond, meaning when this nation was established, they had people that were free citizens and they had people that were in bondage. Y'all, the Bible is a true book. If it's not the United States, then who is it? To receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, that's one, or the name of the beast, that's two, or the number of his name, that's three. So three different aspects in regards to associating yourself with America. One would be the mark, one would be the name of the beast, the name of America, or the number of his name, meaning everyone in America has the number of a man, the number of his name. The social security number is the number attached to your name in regards to buying and selling on the land of the free. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell. If you want to get a credit card, you need a social security number. If you want to get a bank account, you need a social security number. If you want to get a loan, you need a social security number. If you want to get a student grant to go to school, you need a social security number. An apartment, social security number. A mortgage, social security number. A car. Damn, if you need a bicycle, please, sir, sign on the dotted line. You want to apply to be an Uber driver? Please, can we have your social security number? Damn, I just want $9 every time I drop off some food. Nope, give me your social security number first. You can't do anything. They're making it so hard that if you just try to do cash-only businesses, no, sorry, you need a TIN. You need a tax identification number or an EIN, employee identification number, because Uncle Sam needs to get his. What are we reading? The Bible. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, the number of a man, the number of a man. And his number is 636. So I calculated my social, and all across the board, it was 666, 666, 666. I was like, damn. I got my plane ticket. I was like, all right, I'm done with this. Let me start to grow crops in Africa and get the hell away from Babylon. All right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, I want you to consider this. It says here that all nations have an affinity to the United States of America. The kings of the earth have always been in bed with America, right? When they say committed fornication, that means they've had political, economic, military ties to America. Where is the United Nations headquartered? Is it not in New York City? So that means all your kings, all your popes, all your potentates, all your dictators, all your despots, all of your prime ministers and presidents come right to the doorsteps of America at the United Nations summits. So is this Bible verse true? Yes. Then it says, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now the word merchant, the word mar means water. Chant is going into selling. Mar, chant, traveling across the sea to trade. How did America establish itself? By cargo ships. The first cargo that they brought forth in order to get rich was both gold, silver, diamonds, bauxite, ebony, ivory, silk, spices, and guess what, y'all? At the end of the day, it was also people. What people? The lost tribes of Israel. So the merchants of the earth are going into your corporations, are going into your merchant foundations, are going into the various ways that nations all over the globe had inner workings with America in order for themselves to get rich. Y'all, I think a 500 to 600 year head start, right, is significant. Because they'll tell us you need to pull yourself by your bootstraps while they stole our boots. Wow. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 to 18 again. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, meaning small nations, great nations, rich and poor, meaning rich individuals and rich nations, and poor and developing countries, free and bond, meaning this system of Babylon the Great, aka Make America Great Again, has control over those that are free and those that are in what? Bondage, right? That's what we're reading here. So, that no man to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. From there, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 8. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 8. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 8. And it reads, it says, thus saith the Lord God, because that Moab, that's going into the Chinese, and Mount Seir, that's going into the Edomites, behold, they do say, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathen. Now, I'm sorry, I read chapter 25, verse 8. I'm sorry, let's go to chapter 28, verse 5. Chapter 28, verse 5. I don't know why the Most High had me read that precept. Chapter 28, verse 5, it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches. So who controls the World Bank? America. Who controls the International Monetary Fund? America. Who controls taxes? America. Who controls the economy? America. Who controls Wall Street? America. Let's read the Bible verse again. By thy wisdom and great traffic, thou hast increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Going into what? Trade, commerce, buying and selling. America says, hey, you can't have your application known as TikTok unless you buy or sell it to a European American nation. Hey, if you want to do business, you have to do it through America. That's what they want you to do, y'all. That's why most countries are using what? The dollar, the dollar, the dollar. Remember what the Bible says. You got to have what? The name of the beast. What's on the United States dollar bill? The name of America. You got to have that piece of paper that says, this is American money, to use for the highest amount of influence economically is the American dollar. God says you got to have either the name of the beast, the number of his name. Y'all see how the Bible's lining up here, right? All right, from there, let's go to Revelation chapter 14, verse 11. Revelation chapter 14, verse 11. Now, Revelation 14, verse 11 now calls it the mark of his name. Revelation chapter 14, verse 11. Revelation chapter 14, verse 11. It says, and the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast. So God got a problem with people worshiping. Where do they worship? In church. So if they're worshiping God incorrectly, then he's going to be agitated when he returns. So throughout the centuries, we worship the beast and his image, meaning what? The religious aspects of Rome fit in America, and they worship the image of Eurocentric deities throughout their land. You understand? Eurocentric superheroes, Eurocentric religious dogma. The image of Jesus is not that of a black man with woolly hair and feet so dark it looked like it burned in a furnace like the Bible says, but it's the appearance of the blonde hair, blue eye, chilling while you're sitting kind of guy. Let's read on. It says, worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receives the mark of his name, the mark of his name, Babylon the Great, aka Make America Great Again. From there, let's go to, so the mark of his name, the number of his name are all interchangeable. The mark is the number is the mark. You understand? Now, let's go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. Revelation 13, verse 18. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. So the number of the beast, the mark of the beast, is a number of a man, or a mark of a man. So the mark of the European man on society is both his religious influence. Think about it, y'all. His political influence. Think about it, y'all. His military influence. Think about it, y'all. And his economic influence. Think about it, y'all. His educational influence. His language in every aspect of society is geared to exalt the Edomite culture throughout the world, even though there's 7% of the population. God could Thanos snap at any given time and all of this would disappear, y'all. But we have to understand the Bible first before Christ returns. Watch this. Let's go back. Let's go to Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 16. Sirach chapter 16. We're going to start at verse 17. Sirach chapter 16, verse 17. If y'all understand what we're covering so far, please place a 1 in the chat. Please tap the screen, get the likes up, and share the room with at least 10 people, y'all. Notice what I like to do. I read the Bible, explain the Bible. I'm not one of those teachers that's out here that like to flap my gums and keep talking and talking and talking. I read the Bible, explain the Bible. I read the Bible. I'm here to educate. I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to try to push a narrative. I'm just reading and explaining. That's it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. All praises. Sirach chapter 16, let's start at verse 17. It says, say not thou, I will hide myself from the Lord. Shall any remember me from above? I shall not be remembered among so many people. For what is my soul among such an infinite number of creatures? Infinite number of creatures. So he's saying man is the infinite number of creation on the earth. Verse 18, behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth and all that are therein shall be moved when he shall visit. The mountains also and the foundations of the earth shall be shaken with trembling when the Lord looks upon them. No heart can think upon these things worthily, and who is able to conceive his ways? It is a tempest which no man can see, for the most part of his works are hid. Who can declare the works of his justice, or who can endure them? For his covenant is afar off, and the trial of all things is in the end. He that wanteth understanding will think upon vain things, and a foolish man erring, imagines follies. My son, hearken unto me, and learn knowledge, and mark my words with your heart. I will show forth doctrine in weight, and declare his knowledge exactly. The works of the Lord are done in judgment from the beginning, and from the time he had made them, he disposed the parts thereof. Y'all, that right there was heavy. So the number of man is the number of creatures, the number of creation. So the number of the beast is just the number of a man. From there, let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter 21, and let's get some information on what happened with our ancestors when King David tried to number the children of Israel, right, due to taxation purposes, just like America wants to number its citizens and convince everybody else to do so. We're going to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 21, because remember, what we're reading in the New Testament is not any different than what's in the Old Testament. So we're going to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 21. 1 Chronicles chapter 21, and we're going to read verse 1. It says, And Satan stood up against Israel, and provoked David to number Israel. Provoked David to number Israel. Provoked David to number Israel. And David said to Joab and to the rulers of the people, Go number Israel from Beersheba even to Dan, and bring the number of them to me, that I may know it. So what was going on? He was trying to do a national identification system to count, to do some sort of census, in order to count how many people are there for taxation purposes. If everybody understand what we're reading so far, let me get 144%. 144%. 144 with the percent sign. All right? Dedicated to the 144,000. Now, what was Joab, his military officer's response? And Joab answered, The Lord make his people 100 times so many more as they be. But my lord the king, are they not all my lord's servants? Meaning there's nobody here that's treasonous. Like, why are you asking this? Why then doth my lord require this thing? Why will he be a cause of trespass to Israel? Meaning a sin to Israel. God didn't want you numbering the people. Satan provoked David to number Israel, giving him a number of a man, which is the same thing America has done while their social security system has provoked their government to ingrain a national identification system to their citizens. And every other nation that's following Babylon is doing the exact same thing. Somalia just did it in 2023. So little by little, everybody's doing the same thing America is doing. Let's read on verse 4. So you notice here, y'all, you got the number of a man. You got the mark of his name. You have the number of his name. Satan stood up and provoked David to number Israel. So what's going to happen? How did God respond to this situation? Let's read on. Verse 4. This is 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 4. Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab. Wherefore Joab departed and went throughout all Israel and came to Jerusalem. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto David. And all they of Israel were 1,000 and 100,000 men that drew sword. And Judah was 410 men that drew sword. But Levi and Benjamin counted he not among them. For the king's word was abominable to Joab. He was saying, look, why are you trying to number the people? Why are you trying to conduct a census? Why are you trying to classify God's people? Let God exalt his people to be 100 times whatever you want to number. Watch this. Verse 7. How did God react? And God was displeased with this thing. Therefore he smote Israel. Y'all, sometimes because of the actions of the king or the leader that's over a country, the nation can be held responsible. I want y'all to think about this for a second, because you got some people that will say, oh, it's not my fault. It don't matter who we got in power, blah, 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 blah. The responsibility of whoever is in charge will have consequences on the citizens. That's just common sense, right? Watch this. And God was displeased with this thing, meaning the thing that David did. Therefore he smote Israel. Verse 8. And David said unto God, I have sinned greatly because I have done this thing. But now I beseech thee, do away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. You see? Verse 9. And the Lord spake unto Gad, David's seer, aka David's prophet, saying, Go and tell David, saying, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee. This is like your daddy, right? You do something wrong, you know you in trouble, right? Y'all do me a favor, tap the screen, get the lights up. You know you're in trouble, and your dad say, I give you 3 punishments to choose from. You like, oh, shoot. Watch this. It says, So Gad came to David and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, choose thee either 3 years of famine or 3 months to be destroyed before your foes, while that the sword of your enemies overtake you, or else 3 days of the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the coast of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me. So wait a minute. Gad the seer, Gad the prophet is being told, look, choose what punishment you want. Choose what affliction you want. Watch this. It says, And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait, meaning I got a great problem, right? I'm in dire straits. Have y'all ever heard that phrase before? Dire straits? That's what we're reading here. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great of his mercies, but let me not fall into the hand of man. So whenever you in trouble, y'all, you better go to your Father, whether good or bad. Hey, you made a mistake, Father. I'm bringing my problems to you. Deal with me how you want to deal with me, because I don't want man to try to deal with me. Man will try to unalive you and destroy you, but God, he'll have mercy if you choose to have mercy. Verse 14. So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men. Wow. So if he allowed the nations to come and go to war with us, it probably could have been doubled that, y'all. You understand? So 70,000 people, a plague came in and did what it did. Verse 15. And God sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil. Meaning he was like, yo, let me stop. This is my people. These are my kids. I can't do this. I love them. Somebody said they also made a surety for their national debt, which is their first mentioned by Rothschild Agentur Colonel Mandel House. Thank you. Thank you for placing that comment in the section. Mikhail Sankofa, thank you so much. All right, so let's continue. It says, and God sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying, the Lord beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed, it is enough. Stay now thy hand. And the angel of the Lord stood by the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. So that was one of the indigenous Canaanites that was dwelling amongst us. Ornan the Jebusite, meaning a descendant of Yebus or Jebus. Verse 16. And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord stand between the earth and the heaven, having a drawn sword in his hand, stretched out over the Jerusalem. Then David and the elders of Israel, who were clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces. So imagine you looking in the sky and you see a huge angel with a sword in their hand. And while you're looking at this, you're seeing the spirit of pestilence over the land, y'all. And then you get a report from your generals, hey, I'm sorry, but 70,000 people just got taken out in the last 3 days. And you're like, oh my God. Verse 17. And David said unto God, it is not that I commanded the people to be numbered, even I, it is that have sinned. It is I that have sinned and done evil indeed. But as for those sheep, what have they done? Let thy hand, I pray thee, O Lord my God, be on me and on my father's house, but not on thy people, and they should be plagued. Verse 18. Then the angel of the Lord commanded Gad to say to David that David should go up and set up an altar unto the Lord in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David went up on the saying of Gad, which he spake in the name of the Lord. And Ornan turned back and saw the angel, and his 4 sons with him hid themselves. Now Ornan was threshing wheat. And David came to Ornan. Ornan looked and saw David, and went out of the threshing floor, and bowed himself to David with his face to the ground. Then David said to Ornan, grant me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build an altar. Grant it to me for the full price, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Ornan said unto David, take it with you, and let my lord the king do that which is good in your eyes. I give you oxen also for the burnt offerings, meaning they had a barbecue, they had a cookout. Oxen for the burnt offerings, and the threshing instruments for wood, and the wheat for meat offering. So a meat offering was what we call patties, like a meat patty, like the bread that they take and mix it with oil and fry it. That's a meat offering. I give it all. Verse 24. And King David said to Ornan, Nay, but I will verily buy it from the full price, for I will not take that which is thine for the Lord, nor burnt offerings without cost. So David gave to Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold by weight. And David built their altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon the Lord. And he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. Imagine you having a barbecue. You cut up the meat, you put it on the grill, and all of a sudden you see fire coming from the sky and grill it for you. Y'all know David was God's friend. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Watch this. It says, And the Lord commanded the angel, and he put up his sword again into the chief thereof, meaning the plague had to get stopped now. So whenever you hear about the angel of the Lord or the hand of the Lord outstretched, that's Christ placing judgment. Whenever he sheathes his sword, that's the judgment coming to an end. When he holds back his arm, that's the judgment coming to an end. Let's read on. It says, At that time, when David saw that the Lord had answered him in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite, then he sacrificed there. For the tabernacle of the Lord, which Moses made in the wilderness, and the altar of burnt offering were at the season in the high place at Gibeon. But David could not go before it to inquire of God, for he was afraid because of the sword of the angel of the Lord. Chapter 22. Then David said, This is the house of the Lord, and this is the altar of burnt offering for Israel. And David commanded to gather together the strangers that were in the land of Israel, and he set masons to hew out stones to build the house of God. And David prepared iron in abundance for the nails of the doors of the gates, and for the joinings, and the brass in abundance without weight. So this was the beginning start of how we built our temple, y'all. So a strange calamity took place with him sinning. He repented of the evil that he did. And this was the beginning foundation of King Solomon's temple. All right. So y'all, I have more that I wanted to read on this subject in regards to buying and selling and atonement money, but I think we'll just end it on that positive note. God forgave David, and all praises to the Most High that he can forgive us. We have been deceived by modern society to accept the ways of this country, this nation, but it's very important for us to understand that we should walk in the ways of the Creator only. I pray this discussion was rewarding for you. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. With that, we say shalom. A replay of this will be available on our channel, the Forefront Radio 2.0. If you would like to contribute to our efforts to teach in the continent of Africa, donate at our Cash App, which is APHIELLEVI. Once again, it's APHIELLEVI. Peace to the 12 tribes of Israel, and I pray you learned something new.